morning, and welcome to another episode of Tinarian Rambles. This is part 2. You should really watch part 1. Alright, so talking about rituals and why I think they're important regardless of belief in spirits or anything like that. So, when people talk about decisions and mental health, basically no one knows what they're talking about, or at least they don't talk about what's actually going on most of the time. So there's kind of this idea that when you make a decision, it's like just this thing, and it happens, and you do it, and you don't have to think about it. Or when thinking comes naturally, and you don't have to do anything in order to think, which is just wrong, completely and utterly wrong. For those of you who like the science, your brain, if you are an average person, your brain takes up 20% of all of the sugar you eat ever. 20% of that goes to your brain. That's 1/5. So, if you eat a block of sugar, 1/5 of that goes to your brain. Your brain uses that and nothing else. That's not counting your heart that, supports your brain, and your hormones that support your brain, and, literally everything else. It's just you thinking. For those of you, who are like me and more of a magical bent, thought and decision and emotion take energy. And, it's not necessarily that you only have so much energy, because that's not quite how it works, but generating the energy, is a large process. You actually have to really work at it. And when you have energy, you have to direct it. You can't just say, stop it, and have it stop. That's not how it works. That's not how emotions work. That's not how thought works. And similarly, you can't just, say, I wish I wasn't sad, and stop being sad. It's just not how it works. So emotions are basically our inner motivations, our absolute, most basic reactions to things. They're our motivations. They're what places value on things. Anger is about justice. Anger is absolutely, in basically all cases, a reaction to something that we find to be unjust, or unfair, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's exactly unfair, but that's what anger is. And so if you say, I need to stop being angry, you can't just stop that emotion. You have to look for what's making you angry, and either convince yourself that it's not unfair, or that it's not unjust, or you can convince yourself that it's not worth it to pursue trying to change that thing, which doesn't work great most of the time, because if you're super angry about it, that's worth put on it. That's value right there. And so it's very hard to convince yourself that something that you value very highly isn't something you value very highly. That's just difficult. And finally, you can correct the injustice. And so emotion is never really unhealthy. Logic is where stuff can get unhealthy. Logic is determining how to get what you want, how to fulfill your emotions. You want to fulfill my emotions? Gonna have to have that truck go away. Hold on real sec while I close this door, because if I close this video, can't do anything about it. I'm back. I don't even know if you guys can hear that truck, but it's kind of loud as fuck for me. Alright, so, yeah. Logic is how you fulfill the emotions. If you think about math, logic is the equation. You get to write the equation, you get to figure out what you need to do in order to solve this thing. Emotions are the numbers. Without the numbers, equation's pretty useless. You're not going to be able to solve it without the numbers. And if you just have numbers and no idea what to do with them, you're not going to do math either. So yeah. And those together I'm going to call rational thinking. Wow. That was a divergence. That was a little bit of a tangent, but it's very relevant. So, bringing that back to rituals. And so, if you want to change the way you think about something, which is the real work of a lot of social justice issues, because if you start saying something different, or if you do things like smile, you might get a little bit of a boost, or a little bit of a change, because you associate the action with the thing. But if you don't have genuine intent behind those actions, nothing's going to change, because you haven't changed your thinking. And similarly, if you don't do anything to cement that, and you just think to yourself, man, biting my nails is a bad habit, you're not going to stop biting your nails. You have to really seriously focus with intent, decide not to do it, and then over and over again, not do it. It takes a lot of presence of mind and a lot of energy in order to truly change yourself and how you think and what you do. And ritual is designed to do that. And so, before, I thought of the robins as kind of a scary thing, mostly because they're a weird bird that I have never seen before in my 19 years of living in the city of San Antonio, where I am at. And it's strange to see a kind of bird you've never seen before, and, hopping around on campus, that in a city where you've never seen a bird that looks anything like them. And so that was, weird, worrying. That, and it was helped by the fact that my mom ran a really cool, RPG campaign that, featured whippoorwills down in San Antonio. And that was the most terrifying thing ever to this day. If me or any of the people who were in that game, you play whippoorwill sounds around us, we're like, it was amazing. Anyhow, so I wanted to change my thinking about that. And, so I did my research, I said, okay, and I found, robins, they're fairly native around here, they're migratory. A little odd for them to be here this late in summer, and not this late in spring, rather, and not to have seen them earlier, but they're birds. They know what the fuck they're doing with their feathery little wings. They know. And, it's not really much of my business. And there's no need to be rude to them. And so, first, I set out to do that. Second, this whole thing, whether or not you, personally, I feel that animals are people. They absolutely are people. Not lesser people, not stupid people. They're people. We simply can't speak to them. They just don't use language. But you don't necessarily need to be invested in that to see it see this ritual for its other merits. Because while I'm doing that, I am really very seriously exercising my capacity for empathy, for sympathy, for learning about diversity, about other people, and then rectifying, mistakes, because we will make mistakes when we're learning about other people and interacting with them. We just will. Especially when we grow up in a society that tells us that other people are wrong. Of course we're going to have, weird thoughts about that. We grew up being told weird thoughts about that and basically nothing else. So, the ritual is a way for me to focus on my intent to change my view of these birds and to express apology and to try and see what they need. I'm going to do the second one because I read that they prefer insects and things like that, as opposed to the oats that I put out. But, so, it didn't say, they don't like grains. It just said they're mostly insectivores, and they eat invertebrates. So, I'm probably going to do another one laying out something. It also mentioned berries, that they liked berries, and so I might buy some, I don't know, blueberries? Raspberries? Something like that. And, lay out a small bowl for the little robins. But we'll see. But in any case, it's calming. It works to focus, and to dedicate a calm, specific, regulated time to be in the frame of mind that allows you to change your thoughts and your decisions. And that's really very important. And so I don't think you need to believe in spirits or magic or any of that in order to achieve the, thinking and changing your thoughts and dedicating yourself to being better. But I don't think you can just not do anything similar to a ritual in order to, just snap change your judgments. To me, a lot of hardline, really objectivist atheists who believe that objective reality is the only thing worthwhile, say, magical thinking as a derogatory term. And I truly think that if there is any example of magical thinking that you can just change your perceptions and your ideas without dedicating time and effort and energy to being in the space where you can change your mind, that's magical thinking. That's not going to work for you, and that's why a lot of stuff is so pernicious. A lot of, thoughts or things are so pernicious because we don't teach people to think about the way they're thinking. We teach people that they should stop doing the things they're doing. And, it's not really helpful because the source of what you do is what you think. And there is a degree to which it doesn't matter what you think. Your thoughts are private. It matters what you do, because what you do is what affects the world. But your thoughts and emotions are literally the only reason you will ever do anything. If you don't have those, you don't act. There's no reason for you to act, and there's no energy for you to use to act. So, yeah, you have to have, if not ritual, you don't need to put in those terms, but you need to have self-awareness and a way to process and a way to put into practice your new thoughts. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. yeah, this sort of thing is especially useful for mental health, which is why a lot of psychiatrists or therapists, when they show you the little pie chart of what you need in your life, they'll have a little slice for spirituality. And I don't think you need to believe in spirits to have spirituality, because, spirit is just who you are. It's who other people are. It's just your mind. And things like that. And so, yeah, you need to take time for yourself. You need to take time to be you, to feel, to process, to understand why you feel bad if you're feeling bad, and why you feel good if you're feeling good, so that you can cultivate those feelings or address them and ameliorate them if need be. Hey! So there we go. Those are my thoughts on rituals. And I'm going to turn this off before my camera absolutely dies on me. I'm hopefully getting a new phone soon, so that'll be great. Anyways, see you later. Bye!